B'Shem Kol Yisrael. Stuart Mintz grew up in the 1960s as a secular Jew, having virtually no relationship with his religion. He knew his grandparents were observant Jews, and he would often eat with them on Friday nights, and he would witness them, doing their thing and saying some words before they drank their grape juice, and then muttering some words at the end of the meal. And he didn't really understand it, but life went on. 20 years later, it's 1987, Stuart comes with his wife, Jennifer, to Israel. Why had they made their way to Israel? Simple. It was a good deal. They needed a vacation, and they said, why not? Well, check out the Holy Land. And they and their fellow tourists found themselves in the lobby of the hotel, like many others before them, on a Saturday morning, not really sure what to do with themselves because, as you might know, Jerusalem basically shuts down. So there's not much for a secular tourist to do on Saturday morning. And one of the people said, why don't we go to a synagogue? I mean, we've got nothing else to do with our time. Stuart was skeptical. Why would he go to an Orthodox synagogue? Nothing in particular to do with them unless it was Yom Kippur. But everyone was going along, so he figured, why miss out? And they went right next to the hotel. There was a little synagogue, and they found their way in, and they didn't really want to disturb anyone, so they went up to a little balcony, and they looked down and observed the prayers from above. What they saw was fascinating to them. They saw people reading from this Torah scroll. And the thought went through Stuart's mind that this book has been read for hundreds of years, maybe more, different actors, different people reading the book, but the same book. And maybe that's one of the secrets of Jewish survival, this story of the book that just keeps being read. And it picked an interest in Stuart, in Judaism, and in Israel that he had never really had before. And it started a slow process, which eventually led towards him becoming more and more connected to Jewish practice. And there was another story which helped him in his voyage in the 70s. Stuart decided he wanted to start praying in the beginner's minyan. He looked it up in a little newspaper, and there happened to be a synagogue near his house. He went to the synagogue, and the rabbi gave him a prayer book and said, go sit wherever you'd like. And he sat in the back of the synagogue, and what did he see but a plaque which had the name of his grandfather, Aaron Mintz, who apparently had prayed in that very synagogue. So he took that too as a little bit of a sign from above, and he continued in his journey, coming closer and closer to his Jewish roots. I want to end this story in an amazing way. After Stuart was already keeping Shabbat and observing many of the mitzvot, he was sitting with his parents, and he asked them about his grandparents. And his grandfather said, well, there's actually an amazing story that I don't know why, but I never told you. It was 1953, and you were actually born a very ill boy. And the doctors actually didn't think that you would make it. And that week, a new rabbi came to the synagogue and started a shul. And he went knocking from door to door, collecting money to fund the purchase of a used Sefer Torah, a used Torah scroll. He knocked on my parents' door and he asked my mother if she could spare a few dollars for the worthy cause. My mother was always eager to help and never turned down a solicitor. How much would the Sefer Torah cost, she asked. About $3,500, the rabbi replied. Now, that was a lot of money. But his mother offered the entire amount to the rabbi, provided that he make a Misha Berach, a prayer for the sick person at the time of the Torah reading for her sick grandchild. The rabbi agreed, and she wrote the full check. The next Shabbat, the rabbi fulfilled the condition, and miraculously, shortly afterwards, you, Stuart, took a turn for the better, and eventually had a full recovery. Stuart was, of course, astounded. It all began in that scene in the land of Israel when he saw that Sefer Torah. That pivotal moment had been the beginning of his spiritual trek. Years later, by the way, Stuart discovered that the rabbi who had purchased that Sefer Torah had moved to Israel, taking the Torah with him, and joined a synagogue near the hotel where Stuart had stayed on that fateful trip to Israel. Stuart, of course, wondered if it was that exact Sefer Torah that had led to his interest in his Jewish heritage. But whether it was exactly that Sefer Torah or not, it was clear, to him at least, to me too, that God had ordained that it was through a Sefer Torah, through our Torah scroll, and in the merit of that Sefer Torah, that his grandmother had purchased years before, that had led to his reconnection and relove of his Jewish heritage. Have a beautiful day.